Hello, hello. This is Christina Barton. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello, hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about how Nate Silver is predicting that Donald Trump will win, that it is not a toss-up, that he has a more than likely chance that he will win. Nate Silver obviously got it wrong in 2016, which most pollsters did, but he was correct obviously in 2020 because the results were what they were. But it's looking like Trump is the favorite actually to win, even if Joe Biden at this point looks like he may win the popular vote. That's a lot tighter than the actual electoral college race. So we'll be talking about that, and also the debate is going to happen tonight. So what we think may happen, and I guess gear up for our assessment tomorrow, where we go over how everyone did. And also I want to show you guys this video from this legislator out in California when someone pressed them on their gender policies about allowing a man into a woman's prison, and the effects of that is apparently women are suing because bad men like to do bad things to women if they can. So we'll be talking about those things today, and I'll be explaining why this picture is behind me. Some of you may know, but I shall explain it. But anyway, before we jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website. Someone said they're getting their Super Bowl food right. I don't have a cool party to go to tonight. I think I'm just gonna swing by I guess I could find one. I'm sure there's lots going on, but I don't know if I have time because I actually have a meeting tonight that I have to get to prior to the debate. So I don't know if I can get to a debate party. But anyway, please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost to stream. I run my website, all that stuff, so you guys can support. I do appreciate it. Make sure you go to the website, drop in your email for different updates when we send out emails, which does not happen often, so I will not clog your inbox. I really need to send more emails, to be honest, but you don't want to miss something in case I send it, in case I feel like sending something, guys. Also, you guys can check out different merchandise that's available at blacktnews.com, like the I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For shirt. We got this goat hoodie also available. I do also have it I have a t-shirt version, and I do have it in different colors because some people are like, my kids are going to ruin it if I get that hoodie. So I did go ahead and make it in different colors at the request of different people. So it's a cool hoodie. Though, by the way, some people don't know what GOAT stands for. It's greatest of all time. So there you go. The shirt's available, hoodies available if you're interested in that. Also different merch as well. You guys can also check out some different books that I have available. blacktnews.com. Well, you can just search me on Amazon. That's the best way to find my books. But there's a link in the description that I have that will take you to some of my books. And I have 18 altogether. Most are fiction books, but some are nonfiction. Like my book, Of Course, God is blatantly against abortion. So I encourage you guys to check that out. You know, I told you guys yesterday that I was teaching a Bible study yesterday. I saw a video. It was an old video from this guy, Dan McKellen, who I mentioned yesterday, but there's this account that's like dedicated to just debunking his videos that I follow. And so he brought up an old one where he says that the Bible is, Dan says that the Bible supports chattel slavery from beginning to end. And which is a really crazy opinion, but he starts his videos like, basically, if you don't agree with his opinion, then you're wrong. He's like, either you've never read it, or they're lying to you if they say that, or they just don't understand the Bible. And I'm like, or they're taking different context clues and assessing that it's totally different. So if I could just very quickly say some differences, because when people say here slavery, they think about the transatlantic slave trade, you think about the antebellum South, that sort of cruelty. And when they thought of people as property, in that sense, they really thought of you as subhuman. I've talked about the Zong case sometimes. With the Zong case, that was there was a ship called the Zong, and they overpacked the ship, and so there was a nasty storm. So they're like, okay, well, let's throw the slaves overboard, and they're like chained together, by the way. So there was like no getting out of, swimming to somewhere and safe. Maybe it was not going to work out anyway, but they just really, screwed them. So they will just throw them overboard, and then the insurance will cover it because they're just cargo, right? And so the insurance companies fought the claim, and they ended up winning in court. And when it came to whether or not they're going to maybe convict these men for actually killing all these slaves, they're like, what? No, not these good, respectable men. No, they throwing over slaves. It's like throwing over a horse or driftwood. So that's how they thought of human beings. And the Bible does not treat human beings with that sort of perspective at all. And God does not command us to treat human beings with that sort of mentality at all. Another really good point was that our word slave, which is like, the etymology of the world is like, from the Slavic word from it's not what you read in the Bible. Most of it is like debt, indentured servitude, and stuff. So our modern concept of slavery and how that word derived is post-biblical. And also, there's scriptures in the Bible against man stealing. If you kidnap people and try to sell them, that's the death penalty. So, that seems like that's condemned there, death penalty and all. If someone runs away from a severe master, you're supposed to take them in. So there goes the, the Fugitive Slave Act right there, stuff like that. You can't just return the slaves if they run away. So there, that goes too. And then also the brutality that happened. The Bible didn't permit that sort of stuff. Even like with people, your servants and stuff, you couldn't, if you wounded them, like gave them some kind of bodily injury, like, I don't know, you gouged out their eye or something crazy like that, they were free. You had to let them go. So there's just really a lot of big differences between what you read in the Bible, in what's under the Mosaic law, versus what we think about in the antebellum South. And when you hear the word slave, obviously it stirs up a lot of emotions, but again, this is like a post-biblical sort of concept for how we're thinking about it versus what it means most of the time in scripture. And most of the time they're translating a word, I think it's abed, and which is servant, which can range from talking about actual like servants who are, paying off a debt, all the way to like Christ. So that word ranges a lot. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting bit of a conversation. So I just thought I would share with you guys. Anyway, let's get to some news, because tonight is debate night, and it should be very, very interesting. I want to show you guys this video that Trump posted on Truth Social. And it really does. I think this kind of stuff is effective. I don't think it would be that effective if Biden was a good president, but he's not. And so this kind of stuff weighs on people's mind, because if the issue is that we're deciding between two, the lesser of two evils, and one of them can't make it up the stairs, and one of them is just projects frailty and weakness to the world, and you're going to go with the other guy who at least put a little bit of money in your pocket and gave the impression that, he might blow some stuff up if something goes down. So anyway, and blow up the right people, because Joe Biden will blow up people, but he'll blow up like kids and aid workers. So big difference. So here's something that Trump showed. just beautiful right there. Just a doesn't need any music, doesn't need any commentary. So I won't provide too much, but it just to show you side by side the reality of these two men. And it's kind of funny because Joe Biden keeps falling down these stairs. Yet they tried to the media tried to make a I don't know do we want to rise to another occasion of saying hoax? They tried to make it a thing as if Trump was afraid of stairs. Like those were headlines. And and now stairs are like the next president's greatest adversary. But that was a good comparison side by side just between the two of them. Very, very interesting. So anyway, tonight is the big debate. And I think I'm very I don't know. I'm on pins and needles a little bit about it because I guess I just don't want anyone to Trump to crash and burn, but I don't think I don't think he will. I think considering what they're doing with the microphones, Trump is going to have to be really disciplined. And in the long run, I know they're trying to stop Trump from interrupting Biden and getting him all kind of, I don't know, maybe confused and other stuff like that. But what they're doing with the microphones, and I'm going to show you this video that CNN put out explaining what they're doing with the microphones. I know they did all this to help Joe Biden, but at the end of the day, I think it might actually help Trump more. Because assuming that he doesn't just go on angry tirades with no one being able to hear him, if he, keeps to his time and just stands there and allows Joe Biden to talk and fill out his time, if Joe Biden even can, it's going to make Trump look more reasonable and presidential. And that's going to be another feather in his cap. So this is what CNN is doing with these microphones.
If we go behind the podiums, you can see two green lights. When they're on, they signal to the candidate his microphone is on. When the green lights are off, they signal to the candidate his microphone is off. Now I want to give you a sense of what it will look like for viewers at home if a candidate whose microphone is off interrupts a candidate whose microphone is on. So I'm standing at one podium, and I'll ask Phil to come in and take the other podium. And so let's say I'm answering a question. My light is green, and I'm speaking. Phil's microphone is off, and his green lights are not illuminated. He's going to interrupt me as I'm speaking, and this is what it will sound like. My volume remains constant, while Phil's interruption can be difficult to understand.
Let's try the opposite. My microphone is now on. Victor's microphone is off, and he's going to interrupt me. My volume remains constant, while Victor's interruption can be difficult to understand. We should note, by agreeing to participate in this debate, both campaigns and candidates have also agreed to abide by these rules. The CNN presidential debate airs live at 9 p.m. Eastern.
So some people have noted that, so you can still hear them a little bit. So I guess there's always a chance that Trump could still speak and we won't be able to really understand the feed. We might still be able to hear that there's something going on. But that doesn't mean if Biden can still hear Trump like interrupting, that won't make him all, I don't know, kerfuffled or whatever. It won't knock him off of his game and stuff. So, and then if he responds, they don't have a split screen and we don't know that Trump is like, I don't know, egging him on or something. He might look like a crazy person who's just kind of talking to himself and not really addressing the question. So overall, I don't know how this is going to go. And actually, if it's going to actually work in Joe's favor. Now, Donald Trump, he has really risen to he's crashed and burned before with debates, and he's really gone on the prowl. And the very first debate with Hillary Clinton, he was so solid for maybe like the first 15 minutes. And they were talking about the economy and at first, and then they went off on other stuff, and he just started kind of losing momentum and stuff. And Hillary Clinton very obviously planted a story, like there was a last minute thing that she mentioned about some girl in his pageants that he said something about who was chubby or whatever. So it was a dig on, like, this is his attack on women. So I don't remember exactly what she said, but then the reporters, like, immediately after that, they started to run stories about this girl who was in the pageant, and it wasn't even as bad, I think, as they were trying to make it seem, because she started gaining weight, and then I guess Trump and them tried to, like, control her image or whatever. They even, like, showed her, like, working out or whatever, trying to, I guess, tame the criticism of her gaining weight. But anyway, it was an obvious plant, trap that she set for him at the end, and it just wasn't a great debate for him that first go around. When it was time for the second debate, right before the second debate, they had the Hollywood Access tape release, and I've talked about this before. I worked at the Michigan Republican Party at the time of that, and man, people were heated, people were defeated, people, were just, like, done with him. And I was like, if he does not come out, well, I wanted to see how he responded to. So he said it was locker room talk, and he apologized about it. And we were concerned, like, is Mike Pence going to stay on the ticket? Like, there was so much uncertainty when all that went down. And so he, that of course, came up on the debate stage, and he was like, it was locker room talk. I apologize to my family. I apologize to the country. And it was probably, like, one of the only apologies that I've seen him actually give. And but he's like, but Bill Clinton. And he went, and he had warned them. He's like, if they go after me on this stuff, I'm going to go after her husband. I'm going to go after Bill. And he certainly did. And then not only did he go after Bill, he talked about how Hillary Clinton went after those women that Bill was a predator towards. But before that debate, he set up I don't know if you guys remember this. I don't know how sometimes people watch from overseas. Sometimes there's really young people who watch who weren't into politics that much at the time. But before that debate, Trump had a press conference with Bill Clinton's accusers and of a woman who Hillary Clinton represented her rapists when she was a little girl. And Hillary Clinton was not a public defender, but they, I guess, wanted a woman to try the case because a woman attacking another woman, but she wasn't even a woman, she was a little girl, looks better than a man attacking a little girl. So there was by the way, there was an interview with Hillary Clinton talking about that case. And so she said they made the guy take a lie detector test, and she said he passed it, and she laughed about him passing the polygraph test. And he's like, that destroyed my faith in lie detector tests. So she knew the guy was guilty, but they have a right to represent their clients, but the way that people go after the victims is quite disgusting. So anyway, Trump was ready to go. So he had a press conference with them right before the debate. So he just went in all strategic, and then he was just a killer. He was an absolute killer, and it restored, I think, everyone's faith in his ability to win. Because if he would have came and crashed and burned like the first debate, if he would have, got caught up with the access tape or whatever, or just came out kind of just lax, it just would have been awful. But he was just on the prowl. Like the Hillary Clinton saying, well, it's just awfully good that you're not in charge of our justice system. He said, yeah, because you'd be in jail. There was just so many great moments. And by the way, there was an experiment that this organization put on after that debate, after the election. And they decided to show, like, the difference of people's perceptions with, like, sexism, I guess, or whatever. So they decided to cast a woman as Donald Trump. She was just this short, kind of fiery little woman. And then they casted, a dude who I guess could pull off some of her mannerisms or whatever to be Hillary Clinton. And so they did their same gestures, they did their same lines, And reading people's perception about the play and the debate was very fascinating, because they just couldn't, people couldn't understand how Donald Trump had won. And then after seeing the debate performance with someone else saying their words, with someone else wearing their skin, and the genders flipped, people are like, oh my gosh, Hillary is kind of cringe. Hillary is kind of annoying. Do guys remember that little thing she did? Like people, it turned them off. They saw how she wasn't coming off as kind and warm. She was just really cringe. And then they saw that the person playing Trump was charming and very funny. So if you have, I don't know even know if I can find that again online, but it was so interesting at the time. It would be a great thing to bring back and show folks, because Hillary is just still lying about the way she lost and why she lost and so on, and people still pretend like they can't get it. And it's like, man, people don't like you. just get over it. So anyway, Trump had just the focus and the determination to win, and he had better, I think, debate prep at that time compared to like the first debate, but he killed it. He killed it. And then the third debate, he was way more kind of tempered. Because the second debate, they were just walking around, and he was, she said he was like stalking her around the stage, trying to pull up like the sexism sort of stuff. But, he was just ready to go. The third debate, they were just like standing on the stage platform. I don't know if they had an audience or whatever. It seemed like it was pretty quiet, and they just addressed the issues. And the only thing that really comes to mind was the moment when they talked about abortion. And I think that was the only time it really came up in that Fox News debate. And, she was like, a woman's right to choose, etc. I don't remember exactly the question, but Donald Trump was just like, she defended partial birth abortion. When they asked about it, she's like, these are cases that are really extreme, etc., blah, blah, blah. And Donald Trump was just like, to be okay with them ripping out the baby. And he described it, not like totally graphic, but graphic enough. And I knew people who just like did not want to vote for him at all, and didn't see him as a compassionate person or whatever. But that was the moment that they're like, you know what, there's something there that I can connect with, that I think that I can go ahead and pull the lever for him. So he is more than capable of rising to the occasion and really dominating during the debate. And I hope tonight is one of those nights. Of course, CNN and the Biden campaign and stuff, they're doing everything tailored to the demands of the Biden campaign, and you would think that all is going to be in their favor. But Trump, they all agreed to do it. So he has to just go out there and kill him and give Joe Biden some rope to let him, himself with. And I think he can. He just can't come out too hot, because that's what happened before when they first faced off. He came off so hot, and he just ultimately didn't look great. And I didn't like Chris Wallace's moderating. He said some stuff sometimes I was like, what is wrong with you? How you phrase that question, or his reaction to the questions. I did a live reaction to it at the time, I think. I don't remember if it was, maybe it was on Facebook. I don't know if I was streaming live like I stream now. Maybe I was. I don't know. I can't remember. But it wasn't great. The second debate was better, but by the second debate that they had, the race was pretty much over. People made up their minds. A lot of people had voted by then. And they did not talk about foreign policy. Isn't that crazy? I'm assuming it's by design. Because Donald Trump, that was going to be like his greatest strength going into the debate. But they wanted to talk about race so much. That's what they wanted to focus on. The racial dynamics in the US and etc. So they can't get away from that now. If the debate isn't about foreign policy, and they don't mention Ukraine and Israel and Gaza, and if they don't mention the border and talk about the border for a very long time, that's going to be garbage. And shame on CNN if that's what happens. I don't, I really care about the issue of abortion, for example, and Americans really care about it. People debate about it nonstop on TikTok and other places. And, folks really, really care about it. But that is not a crucial issue compared to like the border. I just read another story before I came on live with you guys about another woman who was killed by an illegal alien. This is a really important issue. Way more impactful. The president have a way bigger impact on this, obviously, than what's going on with the abortion issue. Because at the end of the day, the legislators have to the Congress has to bring something to the president's desk. And you don't have enough numbers one way or another for most of this stuff. So they could pass some little things here or there, but the reality of the situation is that they may not be able to do much of anything from a federal level, either one of them. And if they do something executive order, I'm assuming it would be fought. So something that's actually really relative to them is the border. And obviously the impact that they have on foreign policy. So that's got to be the focus. I know they're going to talk about January 6th or bring that up and who won the election, which by the way, I had gave a commentary about how I would answer this question because George Stephanopoulos was on CNN talking about what you would ask. And he said, well, who won the presidential election of 2020? That's what I would ask. And maybe that's going to be the question that the focus on that they have for a little bit. But I said on my show, I said how Trump should answer this question is Joe Biden was awarded with the majority of electoral college votes necessary to win. And I left the White House at the appropriate time that I was constitutionally obligated to leave. And he is the president. And everyone knows Joe Biden is the president because when they go to the grocery store and they can't afford groceries and they have to choose between money and medicine for their family, they know that Joe Biden is the president. When they go to the gas station and they see how expensive the gas is, they know that Joe Biden is president. When they see that their streets aren't safe and that illegal aliens are spilling across the border, they know who the president is. And so I went on a rant about that. So I was telling my sister about it, and she does work for the RNC, and so I told her about it. So she's like, "Oh my gosh, send that to me," and so she was talking to her boss a little bit earlier today about it. So I'm going to be watching the debate to see if there's any of my lines that are spoken. And I promise you, I will let you know tomorrow if any of my lines make it through. But I don't know. I don't have like high hopes for that because I'm sure they have most of their prep kind of down by now of like how they'll respond to stuff. But if any of that makes it in, we will be like tomorrow. We will have a good time tomorrow talking about it for sure. But that's how I would answer that question. I don't know what he's gonna say. I know when he usually likes to do these town halls or he has conversations with folks, he's like, I won. Yeah, I won. And it was rigged. And I won. Folks don't want to hear that. His folks are fine with it, or many of them are fine with that. Many of them believe that, go around wearing Trump won shirts, hats, and Trump was right shirts. But he's winning with independents right now. He has a really good shot to just really take this election. So I would want his answer to be a bit more clever than just the I won, I don't care what you guys say attitude, because I think that would derail the debate. And you don't want something like that to derail the rest of the night. You want the issues to be focused on the border. You want the issues to be focused on foreign policies, which was always his strength compared to Biden. And it's a a crime, a shame that it wasn't really discussed. You know, if there now Trump has different legal stuff going on that I'm assuming might be an interesting topic of conversation. It's just the reality about his um convictions. His conviction with one thing, and there were they might mention the defamation thing with the Jean E. Carroll, the crazy lady. Well, let me not say too much because she out here suing folks, but she said that sexual assault was sexy. So I will just allow you to make your own opinions about that lady, but I'm assuming they might mention something about that case. Now, of course, they don't have Bill Clinton kind of material to use. Um I'm it would be really hard for me to not, if they mention that stuff, if Biden or the moderator, somebody want to get really dirty with that stuff, it would be kind of hard to not mention Ashley Biden's diary if it were me. I am not saying that's what he should do. I'm not saying that's what he should do. I'm just saying I'd be ready to have that gun in my chamber if that's the way they wanted to play it. And Donald Trump let them know with Hillary Clinton, if you want to go this route with my kind of playboy behavior and stuff, if that's what you want, if that's the card you want to play, okay. But know that I got way more and I can come after you way harder about this stuff. So if they go after Trump with that, I might have to pull out the diary thing, because it's not like it hasn't been confirmed that it's a real thing. And the funny thing about it is, if they had not raided James O'Keefe's place to get the diary or whatever, which I think they probably wanted a lot of his contact information from donors and stuff related to Project Veritas. If they had not gone so hard about the diary and then arrested people and then convicted them about the diary, I would have just probably believed it was right-wing conspiracy fake stuff online. After they went hard about trying to retrieve it and arresting people who were trying to sell it, I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is actually real. If you're unaware of the Ashley Biden diary and what's the crazy thing that's in there, I guess there's a couple things, but the thing that most people refer to and talk about is the fact that her father apparently had inappropriate showers with her. So that I would just probably, I might even let it slip a little bit to them, like, hey, just so y'all know, I got this gun in my chamber and I'm not afraid to use, because at what other opportunity are you going to be able to let a lot of American people know about that who are unaware of it? Because so if y'all going to come at him like he's the nastiest, creepiest, grossest man on the planet, and Joe Biden is just kind old grandpa, I'm like, if it was me, I'm not saying that's what he should do. I'm not saying that, but maybe he should. I don't know. I don't know what the right call is for that. I think a lot of people would obviously find it unsavory. But the diary is real, though. It is real. I'd probably do a knock about Biden's grandchildren. So Hunter, he knocked up like a stripper, and he was dodging child support, and they like made them have an agreement that they couldn't use the Biden name. It was what a terrible thing for a family to do to a child. But they would hang these stockings at the White House for Biden's grandchildren, and every year there'd be a missing stocking. And people were aware of it. So eventually, I think last Christmas they just didn't have the stockings, because eventually this started to be something that was pretty bad for Biden. Now that Trump can win on policy, and they can keep it on policy, so that he doesn't need to mention this stuff. He doesn't need to. But if they want to get rough and tough and dirty, I just, I would have those things in my chamber. I would. And I pull it. I pull the trigger. If it was me. If it was me. I'm trying to see if anyone agrees with the Ashley Biden thing. I'm like, like, again, I don't know. But I think I don't know what I'm not expecting Biden to come over and just slump over on stage and not being able to really talk. I think that he'll be, have some cocktails that'll make him be able to meet the moment. I don't know how long he'll last for the 90 minutes. But I don't think he'll have good things to say. He did fine in those other debates before. That was a couple of years ago, and he's obviously, not as sharp, which he wasn't sharp then, but he doesn't seem as healthy. Obviously, he's older, it's a stressful job. So I would assume he's not even going to do as good as he did before. But his focus is just wrong. Their focus is so wrong. And we talked about this yesterday a bit. Like when he did his State of the Union speech, he was fine and alive enough to get through the speech. But so much of the speech was just so off balance for what the American people needed to hear. Like I'm watching it, I'm just waiting. When are we going to talk about the border? And people were really waiting because it was after Laken Riley's death. And I think he didn't even broach the subject. Someone else had to brought her up. And then he didn't say her name right. But what did he prioritize? He prioritized abortion. So I didn't send this line to the Trump team or whatever. I don't know if they would say this, but or go this route. I'm not going to tell you like a word for word thing that they should say, but this is me kind of riffing. Biden, their priority is abortion because they know they can't help you provide a future where you can feed your kids. They know they can't provide a future where you can clothe your kids. They know right now that they're not meeting the task of educating the children. They know right now they're not helping you being able to afford a home for your children. They're not providing any sort of good quality of life for your children. So their solution is to give you an out and to let you kill them. That is the Biden legacy. The legacy of Biden right now is death. That is why it's their favorite topic of choice, because it is a hopeless, despairing administration. You can't feed your kids, but you can kill them. Like that's that could be the line that should follow him the rest. If they want to bring up abortion, you can't feed him, but you can kill him. You can't feed him, but you can kill him. That's the whole Democrat thing. The reality is folks aren't doing too hot, and they're trying to gaslight everybody and say, no, that's not true. The economy's great. The economy's great. It's not inflation. It's just corporate greed, guys. It's just the corporate greed. We're doing everything we can. It wasn't our overspending. It wasn't our economic policies and whatnot. Funny thing that happened, guys. Did you guys hear that there was a story? A CBS reported, did like a puff piece about how 16 of the world's most notable economists, all Nobel Prize winners, are warning that former President Donald Trump could stoke inflation if he wins the presidency in November and moves forward with his economic plans. They tell you guys this stuff as if we didn't live through a Trump presidency, as if this is all hypothetical, as if we didn't have a good old time for the majority of his presidency financially. Of course, what happened at the very end, people lost their businesses and jobs and were locked down and stuff, but we know that's because of COVID. Yet they'll say, oh my gosh, there was this negative job growth under Trump and it just shot up after Biden. We all were alive enough to experience COVID. You can't just gloss over that as if it didn't happen, guys. We understand how you're manipulating this stuff. But 13 out of the 16 of these folks signed on to a letter saying that the Inflation Reduction Act would actually stop inflation. Oh, I'm sorry. It was the 13 of these economists signed a highly publicized open letter 3 years ago assuring Americans that Biden's Build Back Better spending spree, that's what it was, would ease longer-term inflationary pressures. Then whoops, 18 months later, inflation soared to 9.1% under Biden, the worst U.S. inflation in almost 40 years. They said, this person on Twitter said, this would be the medical equivalent of amputating the wrong leg. Yeah. So they manipulate with these open letters. Do you guys remember another open letter that happened prior to the debate last time? With all these people coming together, these intelligence officials claiming that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. Well, they don't know if it was, but it has all like the signs, the classic signs of that. And Joe Biden, who absolutely knew that it was his son's laptop, went on the debate stage and parroted that letter and pointed the finger at a hostile adversary with nuclear power, nuclear weapons. Who does that? That was so irresponsible. It was so irresponsible. And it kills me that people just like, oh, Trump, he's just a wild man. Chaos. Go. Who did you guys nominate? You guys did not nominate a responsible adult who just wants what's best for the country. That is not Joe Biden. It's never been him. It's never been him. It's never been him. So you guys picked a trash guy. And now you're just gaslighting everybody. I didn't even talk about this Nate Silver thing yet. But Nate Silver, who he's a pollster. He obviously got it wrong in 2016. I already said that, but he did, he was right with the numbers with Biden in 2020. But he put out his forecast about the election, and it's looking good for Trump. Very good for Trump. Now, people have been mad at Nate Silver because he's been saying we need to really consider, getting someone else to be the nominee right now and replacing Biden because it's not looking good and the polling's not looking favorable to him. And people were mad and just trying to ignore him or shoot him down. But now he has his forecast out. And Nate Silver, by the way, he started at 538. So now he's got his own thing going on here. But apparently Trump is a favorite to win. 65.7% probability. Not even 50. It's 50-50. It's not a toss-up right now. Now, this doesn't mean that it's 100%, because before they thought it was 99% chance that Hillary was going to win, and they were obviously dead wrong about that, and which was hilarious. But they're saying that Trump has a 65.7% probability that he's going to win the Electoral College. Some people are mad because they see that it's more than likely that Trump is going to win, but Biden is likely to win the popular vote, which is that's a toss-up whether Biden is going to win that. So that's interesting. So there's a chance Trump could win both. But, people are complaining oh, democracy, how is this right? If Trump is going to win, that it's basically over, yet Biden's going to get more votes. Because democracy is bad. And well, that's why we have, our system set up, man, so we're not ruled by the commies in California and and you clusters of ill-informed people in New York, man. Thank God, thank God, thank God. You can say, well, Trump railed against the Electoral College too. Thank God our founders were smarter than him. So we'll see what happens, but it's interesting. I mean, if you go back and watch my different commentary, I didn't know about the polls, especially like during the primary, especially how Trump was acting. I'm like, why are they attacking like DeSantis and other people so hard if they're just winning? And the polls are right, and he like blew it out in Iowa, and basically people gave up after that. Especially since DeSantis put so much into Iowa, hoping to take that, but um I thought that Trump likely didn't have a great, I guess more of a toss up, but more than likely that Biden would win, especially with so many things coming against Trump with his different issues and legally. And if all those things came together, you know, it would look pretty bad, I think, or could be pretty bad. But of course, things start to fall apart with Fani Willis, and the federal case didn't go through. The Florida case is postponed. We don't know when there's even gonna be a date for that, but obviously it's not gonna be prior to the election. I thought the Fani Willis case in Atlanta was gonna be particularly bad because they were gonna televise it, and I don't think the legal grounds for the case were good, which maybe that wouldn't have mattered in Atlanta anyway. But um, I still thought some of the things that might come out during trial still wouldn't have reflected great on Trump anyway. So I was very concerned, but all that stuff fell apart. So you do have a conviction, but the only conviction that you have is just crazy conviction where people can't even tell you what crime he committed. So when I explained the case to a relative of mine who I've debated politics with, who is a Democrat, I was surprised she volunteered information that she hopes that Trump gets back in because she doesn't like Biden. And then we talked later, and then I started explaining the case to her, and she said, "Oh, so they're treating Trump like they treat black men." And that's what people are just relating to. They treated him unfairly, like they treat other people unfairly. I know that there's wiggle room here for this actually not being a just conviction, because I know that there's other people who they do not treat justly. So people were just saying like, "Oh well, our justice system is just so perfect, so great, we can't question it." That's not the reality of a lot of people, or a lot of the reality that people believe anyway. Their perception of it. So when they look deeper in the case, or people start talking about the case, and they're like, "No, this stuff kind of doesn't make any sense." And I saw a video the other day. They're like, there's a convicted president, and it's not for like drone strikes or illegal wars or spying on, Americans. It's about payments for campaign finance, and it's so ridiculous when people really think about it. Like, this is why you think this should stop this man? This, when you've blown up children, his opponent? It doesn't make sense to a lot of people. So they can call him a felon, and I know they really wanted that title to call him a felon, but people are looking at the details, and they're looking at the context. Trump, I listened to a video earlier today, I think it was on Ben's show, with an audio of Trump talking about how after that mugshot, he was bragging about how, popular the mugshot was. And oh my gosh, they were waiting for that mugshot so they could sell items with that mugshot. And talking about how popular it was, but they're like, after that, his popularity he said with the Black and Hispanic community blew up. Now, I don't think that's because people are criminals and they can relate. I don't think that's the message there. But people do sympathize with unjust systems. Back when Kavanaugh was being accused of sexually assaulting Christine Blasey Ford, there was a article where someone was surprised because they were talking about a group of with black men about it, and they're like, well, what about due process? And they were surprised that these people who vote Democrat were taking the side of Kavanaugh. But then they start going into other things in the article, like explaining like, oh, there's a lot of black men who, you know, will be falsely convicted. So they want to make sure that he's going to get justice, just like they want to get justice for themselves or people that they know if they were ever in that situation. So if they can do this stuff to Trump, and they're doing it to Trump because he is Trump, and they can get away with it in broad daylight with it being so unjust, people wonder about what's going to happen to them. It's kind of no different than sometimes I'll see people get kicked from Twitter. It doesn't really happen as much now or whatever, but back before Elon took over, there'd be an account that was gone, and then people would rally like, hey, why is this person gone? Why is this person gone? And maybe they could get their account back. Now, my Twitter account is very small. And sometimes I would think like, man, if mine disappeared, there'd be probably no rallying cry to be like, bring her account back. I'd just be gone. And there'd be no sort of justice to get, probably recourse to get it back on. I'd just probably be done. So, you don't want injustice to happen on that big scale, because when it happens to you, no one can hear you scream. So justice should be blind. It should be applied equally to all people. But it really disturbs people when you see high profile cases like Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, people were very worried about self-defense and Second Amendment and the consequences of his trial if he did not get off. People were so worried about it, especially since it was evident that he was acting in self-defense. Even with one of the people he shot admitted, like, yeah, he didn't do anything until we acted. And the case should have been over then. That was so stressful waiting for the results of that. So people already didn't like Biden anyway, and he's not doing a good job. He's not doing a good job. I think again, Biden's age and all this stuff would be having, I think people could look past it if Biden was doing a good job, but he's not. He's absolutely not. Anyway, let me move on. And I want to show you guys this video that I saw yesterday of this California legislator, and he was confronted about one of his policies regarding transgenderism and allowing if someone says that if a man says that he's a woman, to them to be allowed in women's prison. And Women Are Real account posted this, and Assembly member Al Moritsuchi, he represents California's 66th Assembly District, in South Bay. So this is about a little more than 3 minutes long. And so let's watch it together.
On AB 1955, what that allows is teachers to socially transition students behind the backs of parents.
Exactly.
But my question is something else. It's SB 132. You helped pass that a few years ago, and that's a bill that allows male prison inmates who claim certain identities to be housed among women in women's prisons. Since the law took effect, the women locked up with these men have complained of harassment, intimidation, voyeurism, exhibitionism, assault, and sexual assault at the hands of these men. And this is actually a lawsuit that women have filed. And beyond this, to top this off, one of these male inmates, Tremaine Carroll, this individual here with the facial hair, and this is what he looks like, He was indicted a couple months ago on 2 counts of forcible rape for raping 2 separate women in the California Central Women's Facility. So my question is, do you regret subjecting these incarcerated women to these completely avoidable, completely unnecessary rapes? And what's your message to the women who are still locked up with these men?
Thank you.
First of all, I would have to look back at the specifics of the bill to make sure that you're accurately representing the bill. But my general position in my thinking is that absolutely state prison staff should do whatever necessary to make sure that everyone is protected, and every inmate is protected from other inmates. I know that could be a challenging. I would imagine that could be a challenging task in prison, but nothing on any bill that you may or may not be referring to changes my position that we should protect everyone and anyone in prison, including those that are identifying with a gender other than that assigned at their birth.
I used to visit women in prison and men. I was in the Foreign Service. I visited them in foreign prisons, Americans incarcerated. We would complain about things like not seeing the dentist enough or not getting their prescription meds on time. If women were being pushed into cells with men and getting raped, we would have lost our minds. Mm-hmm. But this is happening this is the stuff of Syria or Iran, and it's happening in California. And your answer was basically,
I'm not sure you're accurately representing the reality.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yes. He absolutely is.
I'm sure there are other citizens that have other issues on their minds.
No, that's a good one. That's pretty important.
I'm sure there's other issues that people want to talk about. And he said, I'm not sure if you're representing this stuff accurately. How come you don't know? How come you don't know? How come you don't know the consequences of your actions, sir? How come you don't know? These people and their ideologies, it's insane. It's insane. Not even the least bit of sympathy, just denial and dodging, and not even good politicking out of that one. But you know what? It was interesting that I saw that clip. And well, let me show you guys. They had the picture of the guy in the thread. Let me go back and open that up so you guys can see. But the other day, I mentioned very quickly something about Gavin Newsom. So I don't know if I can blow that up for you guys to see. Very clearly a dude, right? Very clearly a dude. Raped 2 women while he was housed in the women's prison. And there are trans activists who will, swear up and down like, oh, it's, they're not unsafe. These dudes are claiming to be women so they can come and be safer themselves, but they are obviously a danger to the women. It's not hard. It's not hard. Okay. But Gavin Newsom the other day was any opportunity he can, he will mention something about women who are raped and impregnated. And there was a story about a girl, I think in Mississippi, who had a baby. And the story was like, oh, confusion about the laws forced a survivor to give birth. And pretty sure the exception for rape exists in the state. But to me, I find it very grotesque that when a baby lives, people are like, "Oh, that's gross. Oh, ew. Oh, gosh, darn it. Why'd that baby live?" Like, because we when we do have conversations about abortion, we are talking about killing a baby, and you can say it's not a baby, like killing a living human being, killing your son, your daughter, an offspring. So, I had mentioned that Gavin Newsom, though, he acts as if he has such compassion for these people. But I said, if this had happened in California, he wouldn't want to issue the death penalty for her attacker. Death penalty is fine for her baby, but not for the attacker. We show so much more dignity to these rapists than to children. And it's very odd to me. Very odd to me. Because even if you didn't give them the death penalty, you still give them due process. And we just, we don't afford those kind of rights to our children. Well, they're in the womb. But her attacker could have said, well, I'm a woman. I feel like I'm a woman. I've always been a woman. And I would like to go to the women's prison. In Gavin Newsom's California, they would send them along their merry way so they could go be housed with women and commit awful sort of crimes. That bill that they were talking about, I did look it up yesterday. I believe it was signed in 2021, or signed or came into effect 2021. Who was the governor that year? Gavin Newsom has signed all kinds of crazy stuff, period. But relating to these sorts of topics, absolutely. And it's too bad that Larry Elder did not win that recall and people still have to suffer with Gavin Newsom. But I just cannot stand the fact that that he'll pretend like he cares while committing these awful, egregious things against women. People talk about J.K. Rowling because she's very vocal about this topic. And she had some people were mad at her because she was thinking about not voting for the particular party, I guess, that she would normally vote for over the people are like, oh, she's not going to vote for them because of trans issues. And folks are like, you guys are not quoting her correctly. She didn't say it was because of trans issues. She said it was because of how they're treating women's issues. It's not about the trans issues. It's about you wanting to erase women's rights. I'm trying to find the exact tweet. Maybe I retweeted it. But these things just, they can't coincide. I found it. So J.K. Rowling said she would struggle to support the party because of its stance on transgender rights. No, she didn't. She said Labor remains dismissive and often offensive of women's concerns about sex-based rights, women's rights, not trans rights. And she had retweeted that and said, we're constantly told this is about trans rights. It isn't. It's about women's rights. And trans activists demand that those rights should be dismantled. And it's really that simple. But you know what? People should have been able to read the writing on the wall. They're dealing with their stuff in the UK, and we're dealing with it here in the US. When I was railing against Black Lives Matter, in their What We're About page, they would say things like, we want to dismantle cisgender privilege. And most folks had no idea what that meant. And they didn't really lay it out. But an example of cisgender privilege would be like expecting there to only be women in a women's prison. Something like that would be cisgender privilege. And BLM wanted to dismantle stuff like that. Because it wasn't about police brutality, it was about Marxist nonsense, but cultural Marxism. But which they admit that their ideology and their foundation is Marxism. So should have surprised no one if you shared the hashtag and blacked out your profile. Shame on you. But I always knew that our organization was trash. But it's not a, they want to take over women's rights. And it's a shame. It is a darn shame. So I just, spare me, like with Gavin Newsom and a lot of these politicians, they talk about women's rights, women's rights. When they see women's rights, they mean the right to kill their baby. They're just talking about killing babies. They don't actually care about women being able to have spaces of their own, be safe, to compete in sports with just women, to protect Title IX as it is. The right for women to decide what's best for their children's education. School choice and nothing. They don't believe in those sorts of things. When they say women's rights, they mean the right to kill their baby. That's what they mean. And it's a darn shame. It's a darn shame. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. I want to explain why this picture's been behind me all this time. So some of you guys may recognize this and may be aware of this, but this picture behind me is a portrait of Donald Trump. It is written entirely with his name. It just says Donald Trump over and over again. Some people sometimes think it's stippling, pointillism, but was made, the original was made handwritten by just pens and Sharpies. So this particular canvas that we have here with the image on it, we've been trying to get it signed by President Donald Trump for a while. And the reason why we want it signed is because on July 12th, we're having an event for the Fallen and Wounded Soldiers Fund. And 97 cents on every dollar goes to them. I'm not on the board, so I'm not saying any legal stuff, by the way. I'm just saying stuff that I know to the best of my ability. But it's a really good charity. This particular event, Salute Our Warriors, has been going on for, I think, 6 years. And I've been a part of it for, I think, 4. And it's a great party. It's in Rochester Hills, Michigan at the Casaba State. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to saluteourwarriors.us. And if you want to sponsor the event, you can. If you can't come, if you want to buy a ticket, it's a fun night. There will be music. Ted Nugent is going to be playing, and Slight Return will be playing. Ted's going to be playing the national anthem, which I was supposed to sing the national anthem. And then when they're like, oh, Ted's coming and he wants to play. And we found out like at the last meeting I was at, and I was just like, oh, so I'm not singing the anthem. And they're like, well, I'm just finding this out, but it's Ted, so you gotta understand, which is like the second time I got booted, but it's okay. I might sing something with the band later on, I don't know. But anyway, we wanted to get the sign so we could auction it off to raise money for the veterans. So I took it to a rally when he was in Detroit, and I couldn't get it really past, I couldn't get it inside because it was too big. And we took it down to DC with us when we went to the Faith and Freedom conference. And people were so kind. So many people were so kind when they found out why I had it and what we were trying to do. And so many people were trying to make it happen for us. But we couldn't quite get it signed. So so many people on TikTok, I did a video about it, were tagging Donald Trump and all of his kids and sending it to different people. So folks were asking for an update, and I still have to do a TikTok update, and I'll film that when I get done talking to you guys. But it looks like we may and will get it signed. So there's some logistical things that I have to work out, but people's tagging and sending and commenting and all that stuff, I promise you it did help. I promise you that it did help. So hopefully before the 12th I will be able to show you guys it with a signature. But I just wanted to update and talk about it. Now my youngest sister is the one who made the image. I don't think I mentioned that yet. And she's also the artist who did my book cover for Of Course God is Blatantly Against Abortion. Let me show you guys that if you missed the beginning. Thank you guys for sticking around and listening to this, because a lot of you still on the live. So my sister who did my book cover here, she's the one who did the art here. So she does have prints of these on her website for people who have asked. And her website is tinastextportraits.com. tinastextportraits.com. I don't know if she's in the chat. She might be. Sometimes she's in the chat. She's not. I don't see her. Thank you, Kid Kat. Said great show today. Thank you so much. Let me see if I have it pulled up. No, let me. Tina's textportraits.com. Okay. That's her website. So if you're interested in getting the portrait, you guys can. And she has 5x7 prints and 11x17. And she has other prints, like she has a really good Reagan, she has a Abraham Lincoln, she has a Jesus that's made with like John 3:16 on it. So there's different ones you guys can get. Someone got a little Trump, I think 3 little Trump ones, and then a Pokemon starter pack. So that was interesting. But she's got some interesting stuff on there too, but on her website. And she has her little teeny paintings that she has too. Oh, she is here. She is here in the chat. So anyway, that's what that is back there, and that's why I had it there the whole time. And so I finally got a chance to talk about it. So I am hopeful, and it's looking like I will be able to get it signed. And I'm grateful to everyone again who was tagged and shared and tried to send it to someone who had some kind of authority or whatever. But I promised you guys, you did really, really help. You did really, really help. So again, if you want one of those yourself, like a print for yourself, you guys can go to her website. But if you do want to support the actual, charity, it's Fallen and Wounded Soldiers Fund. Some people are like, it's wounded veteran. It's Fallen and Wounded Soldiers Fund. That's the fund. But the event, you can find out how to donate and stuff there too. If you go to salute-our-warriors.us. Yeah, salute-our-warriors.us. And the event again is Friday, July 12th. And there's the food, it covers the price of the tickets. There's food, there's drinks, as in like an open bar. I'm not into alcohol, but it is there. You don't have to drink alcohol. There's pop and all that kind of stuff too. But the veterans, if you're a veteran, it's $50 each, or couples are $100. The general admission tickets are $150 each, or couples are $250. There's still sponsorship opportunities if anyone is interested in that. But it's from 6 to 10, and it's a really cool party, and there will be other celebrities there. Keith, I don't know if I can say that. Never mind. I know there's going to be different boxers and other different elected officials and stuff there, but yeah, I don't know if I could say the thing I'm about to say. But we're also celebrating different veterans who served, and we're honoring them as well. So it's a really great party. It's a really great night, and it's a really good cause and a great charity. So I would love to just, have this signature. I wish it was signed right behind me right now, but it looks like we're gonna make it happen, and I'll update you guys and let you know if it doesn't. But thank you guys. God bless you guys. I will not probably be streaming. Well, I won't be streaming live during the debate. I know we talked about maybe that being a possibility. I will be tweeting, I guess, about it. If I'm really fired up, I might be posting like little snippet videos in between. I don't know about that, but we will have plenty to talk about tomorrow on tomorrow's show. So I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. God bless you, and you enjoy the rest of the night, and to get your Super Bowl food ready. And